Good evening, folks. I don't know how to unpack all this, but this is a pretty incredible drop series. I don't normally do QPost reviews or decoding, but I need to get a few things out here that I believe is relevant to what's been going on in the last couple hours. Um, if you guys look at post 2008 through 2013, obviously there's a lot going on right now. There's been a lot of activity this afternoon. Um, Apparently taking down satellites, taking down computer systems, taking down all kinds of stuff. So I just want to go over a few things that I found, a few things that I knew from before that I think are relevant and that I think might help us unpack this and have a sense of what's going on right now. So just off the top, right, we have a reference here, 2013 and 2012, pretty much all throughout. You know, the uh, Snow White, Corona. The Corona, I know from previous research back a few years ago, is a series of satellites that officially only ran from 1959 to 1972. However, I think we all know that what is official is almost never what is actual. So basically, what would happen is these series, there's about 144 of these Corona satellites that were sent into space. They all used conventional, not conventional, but film cameras that were eventually developed into much thinner film than normal film, so that more of it could be stored on these reconnaissance satellites. And basically, once they got done with their reel of film, it was ejected from the satellite in a reentry vehicle or capsule, and it was either picked up by a plane that had a retrieval mechanism like a skyhook mechanism on it, or it landed in the water where it would be recovered after a couple of days. If it didn't get recovered in a couple of days, there was like a salt plug in the bottom of it, and it would basically dissolve within 48 hours, and the capsule would sink into the bottom of the ocean. So that's the Corona satellite program, uh, and eventually what became known as the Keyhole program. I actually didn't forgot to cue that up here, so no pun intended there. So we'll just bring this up. Keyhole Satellite Program. Keyhole, keyhole, keyhole. Here. So the Corona satellites were designated KH, or Keyhole, for Keyhole, and they like I said, officially did not go much past the 60s, but it's clear that they've been repurposed. Um, and are likely still being used to this day. Now, a few things that I think are very interesting and I suppose could be coincidental, but I doubt it because nothing is coincidental in this arena. So, um, the Keyhole satellites were used by the National Reconnaissance Office, or the NRO, for supposedly surveilling China and Russia and all this other stuff. And then later on was used. It was it was declassified at some point that at least some iteration of these satellites was repurposed and used for gathering intelligence on Afghanistan and Iraq, helping with certain terrorist attacks and things like that. And supposedly later iterations of the spacecraft or the satellite was actually able to do like enemy of the state style acquisition, and I'm going to show you what I mean by that here. So this is kind of the beginning, just to give you an idea of what these satellites are capable of. Now granted, this is a Hollywood movie, but this is in fact what the satellites were eventually able to do. By the way, this is a great movie, Enemy of the State. I do recommend you guys watch it. It is very telling. But this is the Keyhole Satellite, and they actually in the movie reference Keyhole Satellite. So, you know, these people know what's going on, and the people in Hollywood are very good at injecting reality into Hollywood. But, you know, being able to tap into all these different camera systems, being able to, you know where everybody's at, what everybody's doing. This is all information, you know, that's definitely readily available out in the world, or to these government agencies. Now, what I want to show you is there's a path I want to follow. I want you to follow with me here, and I want you to understand that I fully understand that this goes pretty deep into a rabbit hole, but I think it's relevant. So first we have this company, In-Q-Tel. In-Q-Tel is admittedly the independent venture capital wing of the CIA, Central Intelligence Agency. They are all over Silicon Valley, throwing money around all over the place, developing key technology companies. They were hugely active in the beginning of the dot-com era, and threw a lot of money into companies to get them off the ground. Now, in particular, one of the companies they worked with was a company called Keyhole. So in June 25th, 2003, In-Q-Tel, nonprofit venture funded by the Central Intelligence Agency, announces a strategic investment into Keyhole Corporation. They were, it doesn't say where they were getting their imagery from, or where, you know, or indicating any direct ties to the Keyhole Satellite program, but it doesn't take an incredible amount of imagination to understand that, you know, the National Reconnaissance Office using Keyhole branded satellites, and then it just so happens that a so-called private company called Keyhole Corporation is creating these 3D Earth visualization imagery software platforms. It doesn't take a whole lot of you know, math to add those two together. And they got their name kind of got big because they were helping our troops in Iraq with tracking down specific things, again using real-time data, just like we saw in that introductory video. So not a year later, Google acquires this company. Like I said, they made a big name for themselves during the war. Now the crazy thing is about this story is that they actually use exact phraseology that comes out of this link here from, this is directly from the In-Q-Tel website. Now, they use exact wording. So in other words, they were told what to say. I can't find it right now. But there was exact sentences that were just lifted off this article and mentioned here. And of course it's beyond a paywall because everybody wants to get paid nowadays. So this is, again, the KH-9 Hexagon Keyhole 9 satellite. And this Keyhole 9 was largely the most successful program that they initiated for the reconnaissance of the satellite program they were trying to run here. Crazy, crazy capabilities. You know, they were at a point able to, you know, zero in on a 6-inch radius, just like you saw in that introductory video. And these are the satellites that I believe are being mentioned in the Q post. Now, about this Snow White, I wasn't able to find anything involving Snow White in specific reference to satellites. What I have found is talk of something called a Snow White machine, which apparently is a, where are we at here? Is supposedly some kind of a supercomputer facility in Antarctica that has the capabilities of basically indexing global data in order to provide how do I explain it? How do I explain it without sounding like a complete psychopath? Supposedly, this system enables the people who utilize it to look into the future based on actuary data that's generated from real world or real-time data on a global scale. So basically, this computer system somehow is able to collate huge amounts of real-time global data and say, and this is what's next. They can supposedly look, you know, an untold distance into the future to, which, I mean, even if it's 5 minutes into the future, which I would think it would probably be significantly more than that, but it's very interesting, and Antarctica would be the place to have a facility like that. I think the NSA quickly learned that trying to set up a data center in the desert in Utah wasn't the best plan in the world, because they couldn't find out enough water to cool it, much less, you know, the power required. So I don't know. I don't know what to think about this. What I do know is that there was, or is, you know, a lot of weird imagery in Antarctica. A lot of people have been talking about, let me see if I can find it now. I guess this is it. Is this it? No. It's just a random white spot. So, hang on, let me pull back out here. I think this is it. This is it. So there's a weird, like, 14-mile long something in the middle of nowhere that a lot of people are saying, you know, could be some kind of hidden facility or hidden UFO or some crazy shit like that. I don't think it's a, you know, UFO. It looks like it's some kind of a building or some kind of a something. It's there, whatever it is, and it seems like it was pretty deliberately obfuscated. So, and that's something that, you know, Google does. You know, this image looks like it's from 1998. So, you know, we don't know. We just don't know. Antarctica is one of those very mysterious places. You know, and there's a lot of crazy stories surrounding it. But this was a place where the Keyhole satellites were definitely used for reconnaissance, for mapping Antarctica. Um, so they were there, and like I said, if you could pull it off, Antarctica would be the perfect place to have some kind of a huge data center that would require, you know, subarctic temperatures and an unlimited supply of water for cooling. I mean, you just can't ask for a better environment for a technology, warehouse, and especially, when you're talking about something that would have the ability to not only store but process and real-time analyze a global level of data in order to project future events, or try and predict in a pre-crime, kind of minority report kind of way, um, or like that Denzel Washington movie, Deja Vu. And it's, I don't know, something to think about. It's something to think about. If these people had the ability to look into the future even a few minutes, I think it would be enough to make them very powerful people. But they didn't see Trump coming, so there's that. Anyway, guys, I just wanted to get this video out there and show you guys a few things that I know and that I have found and that I think are very interesting and probably relevant to what's being talked about in these Q posts. So that's it for me. Thank you very much for tuning in, and don't forget to click that like and follow, subscribe, and I appreciate you guys stopping by. Talk to you later. Bye.